Hello, 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 and good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Whenever it is that you guys are watching this, I'm going to be totally honest. I am losing my voice somewhat. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that I still show up for you guys. But this one may be a little shorter than most of my videos. So welcome. For those that are new to me, I'm Dr. Nicolia, and I'm super excited that you're here joining me, whether you're watching the replay or you're watching it live. Either way, so excited, so honored for you to be here. Welcome. Make sure you say hey when you're coming in so that I can greet you. I'm so excited to dive in. I'm going to be totally honest. As I was contemplating this month, some of the things that I wanted to talk about were like visualization and the power of visualization and things like that. But I took a total shift as of, I'd probably say 2 days ago. And the reason being is I had the most busy week in a long time. And I'm usually very protective of my schedule. And it took me back to a place in my life back in 2016 where at the time I had just filed for divorce, had 2 young children, was in grad school full-time working on my doctorate, working a full-time job, working a part-time job, and literally doing all the things. And while I looked good on the outside, they're like, wow, like she's keeping it together and she's getting her doctorate and she's balancing all these things. I was really on the brink of burnout. And if I can be really honest with you, that was a period in my life where I was very resentful of that time because it felt like I just couldn't catch a break. But if I could also be totally honest, that's because I did not give myself permission to take a break. So there is this hustle culture and this hustle mentality that we all buy into that society does a really good job of selling to us, if I can be totally transparent. And, it's frustrating. It's exhausting because we buy into it and we feel like that's the only way. And that's why we end up in situations like I was in where I knew I was on the brink of burnout, but I wouldn't give myself permission to get out of it, to stop. With the hustle mentality, you've probably heard like, oh, you can sleep when you die. Go. You see it a lot when you're talking to other people and you're kind of comparing your life or you're explaining what it is that you're doing or how you've been spending your time. And what I find is that the hustle mentality really comes from a place of insecurity, where you have attached your meaning, your value, your purpose with something else. The hustle mentality actually comes from a place of fear of not being good enough, fear of what other people think, fear of failing, right? Not being successful. I also see that this hustle mentality comes when we're comparing ourselves to other people, right? When we look at somebody else that, they're doing something and we feel like they should be doing the same thing, or we should be doing the same thing as what they're doing. And so we have to stop buying into that. We have to stop giving into that. We have to stop allowing ourselves to believe that somehow this is the only option or the only way through life. And so what I decided to talk about today is how to really get out of that hustle mentality and do less to end up with more. And I know that so many people can relate to this. And I know that those that are listening right here in this moment probably feel like I have lost my God-given mind. Like there is no way that you can do less and actually have more. But I am confirmation and proof of that, because while I was so busy this entire week, today I really committed to like resting. You see, I got my little like comfy blanket and just like some PJs, like been lounging around the house. I cooked a little bit earlier, but like been resting, watching TV, took a nap. And today was a very successful day. 1, because I gave myself permission to really rest. 2, because I have things kind of just going in the background in my business that still allows me to show up even if I'm not there 100%. But again, that's confirmation that sometimes doing less actually is more. And the reality is when you give yourself permission to rest, when you give yourself permission to take a break, when you give yourself permission to check in with yourself and take care of yourself, you actually create this ripple effect where you get to have a greater impact because you teach other people. Like my daughters are watching me, my clients are watching me. My social media family, they're watching me. And so it's so important that we really set the tone and the example for how we treat ourselves, so that also teaches other people how to treat us and themselves as well. So what I want to talk about is, again, I want to talk about how you can get yourself away from the hustle mentality, because it does not need to take over your life. First things first, you will need to remove any form of vocabulary that relates to the flow or pressure from hustle. So whether that's go, 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 hustle, 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 being busy, what are some other ones? Oh, you can sleep when you die. Like all the things that we hear, you need to remove those from your vocabulary, because when they're constantly in your vocabulary, you're constantly going to compare yourself to other people. That vocabulary really sets the tone for what you're allowing in your life. Along with that step, really determine things that are within your environment that are reinforcing this idea of hustle, 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 go, 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 that kind of mentality. So maybe it's certain TV shows that you're watching. Maybe it's certain friends or family that you have. And listen to me really carefully. I'm not at all telling you to remove yourself from them, but remove the comparison trap that you may be experiencing, or remove like that being a part of your regular conversation. I know for me, growing up, my mom was a single mom of 2 kids, and she went through she had me at 17 and my brother at 18. And so she went through college, she went through law school, she went through working a full-time job and a part-time job and raising 2 kids by herself. And so I grew up thinking that was normal. Like I remember I had my oldest daughter really young, and people were like, oh my gosh, I'm surprised you didn't like drop out of school, or I'm surprised you didn't just like give up. But I'm like, this has been normalcy to me. So in some ways it's really helped me watching my mom, but in other ways it's really hurt me, because I adopted this belief that the hustle mentality was the only way to get through life, because my mom is really successful, but that's because she really sacrificed. That's because she worked really, really hard. That's because she wasn't doing what everyone else was doing. She was that person that was like, oh, I'll sleep when I die. I don't ever remember my mom taking time to get her nails done. I don't ever remember my mom taking time to have naps or anything like that. And so when you think of your immediate environment, how is that reinforcing this idea of hustle? And if it is, how can you make shifts and changes within it? So maybe it's a TV show that you need to remove. Maybe it's a certain coach that you follow, or a certain influencer that you follow, or that you probably should like mute or take a break from. Maybe if it's a friend, maybe you say, you know what, like I love when you tell me about all the things you're balancing, but right now I'm really working on taking care of myself. And so I just want to talk about, whatever is new with your family or whatever, just really setting that tone and that boundary around that, so that hustle isn't a part of your regular routine and environment and your vocabulary, again, which sets that tone and that standard that it has to be a part of your life. The second thing is, I feel my voice going away, but y'all stick with me. The second thing is we have to redefine success on our own terms. Let's be real. Society also defines success for us. 2.5 kids, a white picket fence, a doting spouse, and a job that you work at until you're 65. But that's exhausting. That American dream ain't everybody's dream, if we can be honest. And so one thing that I learned when I was getting my doctorate, I studied leadership, okay? And my focus was success. And I studied success in depth. For 2 years. I did in-depth research with 23 women where I followed their journey of success, their definition and their viewpoint of success, and how it played out in their life. And what I learned during this time is not one single person that participated in my study had the same definition of success. Not one. And guess what I also learned during that time? That's okay. We have to be willing to give ourselves permission to define success on our own terms. Success doesn't need to be defined by our significant other. It doesn't need to be defined by our friends. It doesn't need to be defined by our parents or what we witnessed with our parents. It doesn't need to be defined by anything other than what it is for us. For me, my personal definition of success is, am I better than I was yesterday? And if I'm moving in that direction where I'm constantly being better than I was yesterday, then I'm moving in the right direction. But if I always compare myself to Oprah, then I'm always going to be behind, right? I'm always going to feel less than. I'm always going to feel this internal drive and pressure to hustle, go. But if on the flip side, I define myself to the homeless man downtown, then I'm always going to feel like, oh, I don't got to do anything because I'm doing good. We have to stop comparing ourselves and instead determine what success looks like on our own terms, okay? The next thing is to really reflect and make shifts and changes within your schedule. Let's be honest. Our life is a reflection of our day-to-day actions and habits and beliefs, okay? You can never change your life without changing your day-to-day actions, habits, and beliefs. And so one thing that I do with my clients that I talk about often is the stoplight commitment strategy, because let's be honest, we all have things that we do that work really well in our favor, and we all have things that we do that actually negatively impede our overall success. We are creatures of habit. We have some habits that are really healthy and some habits that are really poor. But if we're just continuing to fall into those habits and not really reflecting or making shifts or changes where they're called to be made, then how are we putting ourselves in a position to grow? So I'm going to explain my stoplight commitment strategy to you. If you do not use a planner, this is going to be tough. If you do use a planner, it's going to work really well. But if you don't use a planner, you can still do it, okay? What I'm going to challenge you to do is I'm going to challenge you to pull out your planner if you do use a planner. If you do not use a planner, then what I'm going to challenge you to do is I'm going to challenge you to just pick yesterday or the last 2 days, and I'm going to ask you to write down all of the things that you committed your time to. Yep, that Netflix show that you watched. Yep, when you got up and went to work. Yep, when you were driving your kids to and from extracurriculars. Yep, when you grocery shopped. Yep, when you were reading. Whatever you were doing. Oh, scrolling social media. Like all the things. I want you to list out all the things that you've done and estimate how much time you think you spent on each of these things. Even with the planner, you probably didn't put some of those little like time suckers in there. So put in like how much time you estimate you think you spent on social media, or how much time you think you spent watching, the latest Hulu show or whatever. I want you to reflect on it. And then I want you to, you can pull out like 3 different highlighters. You can use pink for red. I don't think they have a red highlighter. Yellow and green. And I call it the stoplight, so red, yellow, green. Or you can get a pen and you're going to make notes. Whatever it is, it's going to work for you. The goal of it is that you're going to look at your day-to-day actions and you're going to identify which ones are in direct alignment with what you desire in your life. Because here's the thing. We're here, we want to be here, but how do we bridge that gap? In order to bridge that gap, it first starts with reflection. Second, moves into making a shift and change where necessary to be able to bridge that gap, okay? So look at your actions. Red actions are those things that have absolutely nothing to do with your goal and you probably should not be committing to, right? Green action are the things that are in direct alignment with what you want to accomplish in your big picture goal that you should probably be trying to figure out how you can incorporate or do more of. Yellow actions are like things you probably should commit to. They may not be in direct relation to your goal, but it's still something that you need to show up and commit to. I always say that these should not be even categories. Like a lot of times we're like, okay, well, I'm going to do 33% of red, 33% of yellow, and 33% of green. No, if you want to make a shift and change in your life, you want to find that success that you desire and deserve, you need to be doing more green, a medium amount of yellow, and less red. And here's the thing, here's going to be a surprise for you, okay? All the things under green are not necessarily action taking things. So for example, sometimes I do naps on weekends. I'm never going to lie to you. I do a nap every single day if I could. I do them, I probably say on a 7-day week, I probably take a nap 4 to 5 days, okay? I love me some naps, but here's what else I know. When I take naps, I'm rested, I'm rejuvenated, I'm refreshed, and I'm ready to hit the ground running with new ideas, innovative ideas, because I just really am able to like connect with my creative side when I'm well rested. I'm just in a good place of mind when I'm well rested, okay? So when I draw in naps on my calendar, I don't feel guilty about it, because what I know on the flip side is if I keep working through tired, I end up making mistakes, I end up having to redo things, and then it actually takes up more time. So remember, I said sometimes less is more. So what activities are helping you to feel good that are going to help you to commit to show up for your goal? Because here's another thing that I want you guys to understand. Busyness does not always equal productivity. There are a ton of us that are extremely busy, but we're not necessarily any more productive than people that just really identify what actions directly relate to what it is that they're trying to accomplish. So green activities are going to be anything in direct relation to what you need to do. So for example, if you're starting a business and you have a 9-to-5, that's a green activity, because right now your 9-to-5 is your biggest paying client to help you reach the success that you really desire and want, right? Without your job, would you be able to invest in the coach you're working with? Without your job, would you be able to invest in the ads that you need to grow your business, to grow your visibility? So that job still counts. On the flip side, maybe a yellow activity for me the other day, the girls and I, we did a Halloween night. So we watched like some movies and we did an indoor scavenger hunt. So I could have said, no, this has nothing to do with my goals at all, right? but it did. It's a yellow category because no, it doesn't necessarily have to do with my goals, but it's a part of who I am. A part of who I am is a mom. So that does relate to that. That is a big part of that. That is a big piece, right? So those yellow activities, maybe taking your kids to gymnastics, taking your son to Boy Scouts. It may be checking in, spending time with your best friend on her birthday. Like those are still activities that you are okay with committing to. Red activities on the other side in your commitment strategy are the things that you just don't need to be doing. For example, if you're working on saving money and you look at your calendar and you realize you spent 2 hours at the mall buying things and that has nothing to do with your big picture goal, that's a red activity. If you're working on losing weight and you went to happy hour with your friends and you ordered way too much, not only did you spend too much money, not only did you drink too much, you ate too much at the same time, that's a red light activity. We have to be able to decipher and know the difference, because here's the thing, guys. When you free up that red light activity, when you remove that red light activity from your calendar, you free up room to add a green light activity into it instead, okay? Remember, every no you say to something that doesn't serve you is a yes you say to something that does. And so this strategy works extremely, extremely well, but this strategy can't work unless you commit to it, okay? Which is the final step. Once you've done the reflection, once you've really identified what's working, what's not, where you need to make shifts, what you need to do more of, what you need to do less of, like all the things, then you need to commit to it, okay? And here's the thing. Commitment takes work. Commitment takes dedication. It takes discipline. It takes consistency, but the work is so worth it. And what I can guarantee for you is once you sell out of the hustle culture, once you get rid of the hustle culture, once you remove that from your vocabulary, once you stop normalizing it, once you don't make it a regular part of who you are, once you're really able to create a schedule that aligns with the success that you desire, you'll notice that you actually feel more successful. You actually feel busy. You act less busy. You actually feel more productive. You actually feel in control of your life. You actually feel at peace in your life. And I don't know about you, but I desperately desire that peace and that flow and that like safety and security in my life that can't ever come from that hustle mentality. I don't know if you guys know this, but the World Health Organization just recently legitimized or identified burnout as a real medical diagnosis. Surprise, surprise. So many of us have been dealing with it for so long. We've been talking about how burned out and how exhausted and how frustrated we were, but they didn't recognize it as a medical diagnosis. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Burnout is going to happen when you operate from that hustle mentality over and over and over and over again. Our bodies are not made to do that. And that hustle mentality is actually far more harmful than it ever is helpful. So what I'm challenging you to do is I'm challenging you to give yourself permission to pull away from that, to walk away from that, to understand and know that that doesn't have to be your identity. You don't have to identify or make that a part of your regular day-to-day activities. And when you do, when you decide that that is no longer what you're going to buy into, your future self is going to be so grateful that you did. One thing that I do as a coach is I work with busy women, those women that wear multiple hats, whose attention is being pulled in a million different directions, and they want to balance all the things, but they want to do it with grace. I work with women that have big dreams, big visions, but they're like, I don't know if I can actually add another thing to my plate. I work with women who often feel guilty because they're giving so much to their loved ones, to their spouse, to their children, to their job, to everything and everyone else, because they feel like, oh, I'll put myself on the back burner and worry about myself later. Here's the reality. That doesn't work. In fact, you should be prioritizing your health. You should be prioritizing your desires, your aspirations, and your goals. And I help women be able to prioritize their desires, their goals, their aspirations, and the things that they really, really want, but still be able to balance the other things with grace. And I do this by, one, helping you understand your unique human design. We are all designed and created differently. And based on that, that helps you to better understand how you should show up in the world and helps you to embrace who you truly are. Then I help women create tiny habits that lead to large results and big success. Then I help women really identify and narrow down what that goal looks like for them, what they desire to accomplish, and I give them a foolproof formula and strategy to be able to make that happen. And then finally, we work to bring the entire picture together, reducing busyness, increasing productivity, and overall success on your own terms. If you are in that place, if you feel stuck, stagnant, and you're ready to take that next step, you're done, you're like, I like absolutely can't keep doing this, like I am ready to like really just go from burnout to balance, then we need to talk. So definitely check out the link in the comments where you can schedule a totally free call with me, and I'll talk to you a little bit about how I support my one-on-one clients in bridging the gap of where they are to where they want to be, and how we do it easily and effortlessly, and dare I even say with a little bit of excitement and fun. So definitely use the link in the comments, and I look forward to connecting with you super, super, super soon. I hope you all have an absolutely amazing day, and I will chat with you guys later. Bye, guys.